Welcome to the Gran Colombia set of homemade magic cards based on Civilization 6. I am Loki the Gamer, and I'm very excited to show you the set that possibly took me the most effort, but also excited me the most. And I could have gone on creating more and more and more cards for Gran Colombia if only I didn't have my self-imposed rule of sticking to only 6 cards. Let's take a look at what I came up with for Gran Colombia. 1 legendary land, as always, 1 leader, and 4 unique items, 4 unique builds. 2 are actually very traditional, a unique unit, a unique infrastructure, and then 2 are special, and yes, those are the ones I could have kept building more and more and more of, but I insisted on limiting myself to 6 cards only. And if you know the Gran Colombia Civ from Civilization 6, you probably can already tell which concepts I'm talking about. More on that later. An overview of Gran Colombia. There will be extra movement abilities. And although I did not include that on my equivalency chart here, but extra movement usually translates into the ability Flash or Haste. In this case, both. So yeah, extra movement equals a creature with flash and or haste. There will be food, and according to this chart here, food very often equals food, and that's what I did for Gran Colombia, food tokens. A simpler translation from Civ to Magic there could not be. There will be great people, specifically great general, and as we see here, great people equals legendary creatures. And yes, there will be great generals, and there will be very special kinds of great generals. And great people in Civilization 6 are nearly always, no, I think they are always indestructible. You can push them back, you might even be able to capture them, maybe, but you can't kill them. And therefore, I decided to give all of Gran Colombia's great people hexproof. So I made some special great people for Gran Colombia. Those are the 2 special little guys I was talking about, and I gave them all hexproof. And of course, Gran Colombia is a very militaristic civ, so you can expect a lot of boosts, stat boosts, even some direct damage, +1/+1 counters, so yeah, all of that good stuff to make sure that your creatures are awesome and your opponent's creatures are dead. The color scheme of Gran Colombia is Jund, red, green, black. So it's a very large, sprawling land full of greenery. So green, there are lots of mountains in the west, of course. The Andes are there, so red, and black because we're talking about a savage, cruel army that tears everything in its path. So red and black for the army part, green for the growth of a new and rather short-lived nation. So Jund seemed to be nice and violent enough for Gran Colombia. Let's take a look at the Gran Colombia ability. In Civ 6, it is called Ejército Patriota, and that's the one that gives unit extra movement. And promoting a unit does not end that unit's turn, so yes, units are very mobile. They can move a lot, they can keep moving even after getting a promotion, so lots of mobility. And that is it. Very straightforward, very simple, so I turned that into a very easy peasy legendary land of Gran Colombia. Mythic rare, it enters tapped. There's the Ejército Patriota. Tap a green, and itself, the next creature spell you cast this turn has flash. So there you go, you can cast a creature with flash. Pay a red and tap it. Target creature gains haste until end of turn, so you've got flash and haste, lots of mobility. You can tap it for a black, or you can tap it for a red or a green, but you lose 1 life. So it's a triple land, very versatile, does lots of things, and I made sure that A, it came in tapped, and B, you lost a little bit of life on 2 of its colors in order to balance the whole thing. So nice, not game changing, nothing like what I did for some other civs, Germany. And now we can move on to the great leader of Gran Colombia, and it will take a surprisingly short time to talk about Simon Bolivar. There's never been a leader in this project that was that brief and succinct and easy to cover. His ability, Campaña Admirable, simply states that he has access to special Great General units anytime he enters a new era. And those Great Generals are called Comandantes. And there is a huge list of different Comandantes that Simon Bolivar can spawn, and they're all unique, they're all different, and they're all exciting. But that's it, that's all he does. He simply spawns his Great Generals, his Comandantes. So I had to make sure that the card simply give you access to those guys. That means I had to create those guys, but more on them later. Let's take a look at Simon Bolivar himself. The legendary creature, he is called the Liberator as his actual historical nickname, for a green, a red, a black, +2 generic, so 5. Not too expensive for what he does, but expensive enough. He is a rare human advisor, and there's his Campaña Admirable. For a black, red, and a green, you get to search your library or graveyard for a Commandante creature card, put it onto the battlefield. If you search your library this way, of course, shuffle. And he is 7-4, nice and meaty, a little fragile on the defense, but yeah, very powerful. And what's interesting is that he does not tap to use his ability. That means you are free to attack with him, and you are free, if you have enough mana, to use his ability. Again, and again, and again. So I don't know how realistic it is that you might have 9, 12, 15 mana sitting around, one of each color, but since you have a green deck, ramping, mana fixing, it's all very possible that this could go really crazy, out of control. And if you manage to accumulate that much mana, well, your Comandantes should win you the game in a moment, and really at this point you'd kind of deserve it. So you might go, well, that's crazy, it's too powerful the way you made those Comandantes. But again, if you are able to bring them out and reuse them again and again in the same turn, you deserve the win. And I say use Comandantes again and again and again because they all have a self-sacrifice ability. And of course they should, because that's what a Great General is in Civilization 6. It's a unit that boosts your nearby units with a static ability, but more importantly, it's a unit that can retire. That's the term that Civ uses. It can retire and essentially sacrifice itself in order to unleash a great big powerful ability, and that's exactly the way these Comandantes work. Just like any other Great General, it's just that those are usually better and they are unique, they are exclusive to Simon Bolivar. And you will see soon enough, I designed these Comandantes to self-sacrifice. But more on them a little later. Let's move on to the unique unit of Gran Colombia. It is the Llanero. It's a human horse bard, so once again, like always, when the unit is a mounted unit, when it depicts a dude on a horse, a horseman, then I give the creature the human creature type and the horse creature type. I do what magic doesn't do, and I respect the fact that there is a horse in this creature. And I also gave it the bard creature type because that's what he is. And yes, it's important to differentiate a melee unit from a mounted unit because the rules of Civilization does care. Magic has never cared before, but Civ does care, so we, in our homemade little cards here, have to care. And you will soon see Gran Colombia is a prime example of how having a dude on a horse must feature the horse and not just the dude. So the Llanero in Gran Colombia gets a boost for every other adjacent Llanero. So it's in your best interest to build a whole bunch of Llaneros and then send them out to war. They will boost each other. Of course, in magic terms, you really can't have a bunch of Llaneros. If you play Commander, then it's a singleton, you only have one. And even if you play 60-card Magic, then you have 4 in your deck potentially, you can't count on all of them being there. So I couldn't exactly give the Llanero a boost for other creatures called Llaneros. Therefore, I gave its bonus scalable to horses, mounts, and comandantes, because those creatures have horses, so we can sort of assume that they have a little bit of llanero in them as well. So that's why it's very important that a person on a horse gets given the horse creature type. And also the llaneros, they fully heal when a comandante uses its retire ability. So when a comandante self-sacrifices to get this huge boost, all adjacent llaneros get to heal fully. So I turned that into a recurring ability. Let's take a look in greater details at the card. So it is a 1 red, 1 generic human horse bard, as we've said, a common card, a 1/1, but this creature gets +1/+1 for each other horse, mount, and commandante you control, as I've already said, and whenever a legendary creature you control dies, you may return this card from your graveyard to the battlefield. So I made it very versatile. It recurs not only when a Commandante dies, but any legendary creature. So it's actually better than advertised. I could have made it exactly as written in Civ 6. It comes back only when Commandantes die, but I decided to make it a little bit more flexible. Any legendary creature death you control will bring it back. Very neat. The unique infrastructure of Gran Colombia is the Hacienda. It is an improvement on the land, therefore, according to our chart, land improvements usually translate to land auras, and they scale up the more plantations you have around it. So a plantation is also a land improvement, therefore also a land aura. So basically I made the Hacienda card scale up the more land auras you have. It assumes that any land aura you have is potentially a plantation. So any land aura will beef up the Hacienda. The card is a 4 mana, 1 green, 3 generic aura enchanted land. Enchanted land has a tap for each enchanted land you control. Add 1 colorless and also create a food token, because indeed the reward that you get from the Hacienda in Civ 6 is a bunch of food and a bunch of production. Production and food, therefore you get mana, ramp, and food tokens. So that's it for the Hacienda. Quite a neat aura. It's not the only one that I created. Many other civs have similar auras that scale up the more land auras you have. So I shudder to imagine what all of those land auras in the same deck could produce. There are plenty of leaders that I created out there that thrive on having many land auras. Hammurabi of Babylon comes to mind, for instance. So here's one that Hammurabi could definitely use. The Hacienda would fit beautifully in a Hammurabi deck, and it would be quite devastating. So much ramping, so much food, so much everything. And now the pièce de résistance, our Commandante creature cards. Now, as I've said, I wanted to do more, but I only had 2 cards left, and yet there are so many awesome Commandantes in Simon Bolivar's arsenal, but I only had 2 cards left, and I wanted to pick the maximum amount of Commandantes, so I made both cards modal. So you get to pick either side, so I get actually 4 Commandantes to play with. Hooray! That's not enough. I really wanted 5 or 6, so hey, who knows, in the future I might go nuts and create a 7th or an 8th Gran Colombia card just because no one can stop me. So far, I'm stopping myself. I'm the one who insists on having 6 cards and 6 cards only for every set, so I'm my own worst enemy. Ultimately, I settled for the 4 that inspired me the most. It was so easy. And that's the worst part, is that it was so easy to translate their abilities into a magic card. These cards just wrote themselves. But as we've already said, you can expect all of them to have a few things in common. They are all obviously human Commandante creatures. They all have hexproof because great people can't die in Civ 6. And they all have a sacrifice this creature, do something cool. So let's take a look at the first one. We've got the 2 Joses, Jose Antonio Paez and Jose Felix Ribas. The first one, Jose Antonio Paez, in the game, he boosts all nearby mounted units. You boost all nearby mounted units specifically, so that is another reason why it's important to differentiate between just a dude on the ground and a dude on a horse. So a mounted unit must have the horse creature type. He says, tap, sacrifice Jose Antonio Paez, put 2 +1/+1 counters on each horse, mount, and Comandante you control. Because indeed, the Comandante do not have the horse creature type. There was no room on the card. So instead, I called them out by name and I made sure that he could boost all the other Commandantes as well. And he is a 4/4 that casts for 2 greens, a red, and 2, but of course you don't really care about that if you keep summoning them with Simon Bolivar, because don't forget, for only 3 mana, they drop right onto the battlefield. And of course, what I said before, to keep using Simon Bolivar's power, bring one out, sacrifice it, bring it again with 3 more mana, sacrifice it, bring it again for 3 more mana, sacrifice it. That only works if you have, yes, a ton of mana, sure, we already said that, but also if you can give your Commandantes haste. They need to tap and sacrifice themselves. So yes, you need to give them haste in order to keep doing this again and again and again, and that is why I feel that is a balanced enough ability. It's powerful as hell, but it's balanced. Let's look at the other side of this modal card, Jose Felix Ribas. He, in Civilization 6, damages all nearby units when he is used up, when he retires. And so therefore it was easy to make a card out of him for 6 mana, a red, a black, +4 generic, but once again, that is a formality. Usually you don't cast these guys. He taps and sacrifices himself to deal 3 damage to each of up to 6 target creatures. That is so powerful, it's almost like a Planeswalker's ultimate ability. And he is 3/5. Let's take a look at the other card. We've got Rafael Urdaneta and Antonio Jose de Sucre. So the first one is a 6-drop, red, +4 generic for a 4/6. Hexproof like usual. Sacrifice Rafael Urdaneta to untap all creatures you control. After this phase, there is an additional attack phase. Play this ability only anytime you could play a sorcery. So, you've seen things like that. It's gain an extra attack phase. And why does he have that? Because that's exactly what he does in Civ 6. He resets essentially all of the nearby units. He brings their movement back to unused status and their attack also. So it's as if they hadn't moved, it's as if they hadn't attacked. So all of those units can attack and move once more. Essentially take an extra turn, therefore take an extra attack phase. So I told you these Commandantes just wrote themselves. On the flip side, we've got Antonio Jose de Sucre. 2 green, a black, +1, and he, in the game, he creates a strong unit. That's what he does. So that's why when he sacrifices himself, you get to create a green 5/5 human horse soldier creature token with trample. There you go. And he himself is 7/2. Not too shabby. In fact, all of the Commandantes have very nice stats, so I suppose there is a world in which you bring them out and you actually use them. You actually, attack with them, defend with them, and you don't care that they die because they can keep coming back again and again. So you don't necessarily want to use their sacrifice ability, even though you really should because they're really strong. Let's not forget that they can handle themselves in a fight. So as we covered all of these 4 Commandantes, well only 2 cards, but really 4 Commandantes, we covered their mana cost saying, well, let's not dwell on that, you'll never cast them, you'll be tutoring them with your commander or bringing them back from the graveyard. But that's not exactly true. You might end up with them in your hand, you might draw them. You might have them in your hand at the start of a game. So yes, of course, you might conceivably have them in your hand, and then what do? Well, I suppose you cast them, or you find a way to discard them in order to bring them back with Simon Bolivar. I don't know, but that's why it's important that they have a mana cost, of course, and that they have a good, decent, scalable, realistic mana cost for those freak occasions where you actually do cast them. And yeah, so the set of Gran Colombia is really not complete. I really wish I could have made all 4 of these Comandantes into separate cards. And made even more. There was at least 1 or 2 more that spoke to me. So yes, I feel that the Gran Colombia set is already playable, Simon Bolivar, the way I made him, and with just those 2 Comandante cards, it's already playable, but it feels unfinished. Much like Georgia was playable, but since there were not enough miracle cards in Magic the Gathering, even though I created 2 more, it feels like Georgia is not fully ready to be played. This Gran Colombia feels unfinished also. Worthy of a test spin if someone wants to make those cards as proxies and just try them out for fun, but it feels like there should be more Comandantes out there. What do you think? Do you agree? Or just those 2 cards enough? You bring them out, sack them, bring them back, and there's always plenty of choices to pick from. Do they all synergize with one another? There's a little bit of a horse tribal theme going on in there. So let me know what you think about Gran Colombia. I've yet to play Gran Colombia in a Civ game, but they seem to be very aggressive, very powerful, very easy to have fun dominating if that's how you like to play. I tend not to do that too often. I do it when I play a very militaristic Civ. It's a waste not to use their ability. When I do choose one that happens to have a military power, then of course I use it, but I know in advance that it's not going to be my favorite type of game. Honestly, a peaceful culture game is my go-to favorite type of game, so I've had a lot of fun creating those peaceful culture type of cards as well. Just like Greece, which, hey, look at that, that is the very next video I'll be recording. So I'll see you then, and do not forget to give me all of your support and appreciation. I really need that to keep a project this crazy going, especially if I plan on making more in the future. I need those likes, I need those subs, and I even need a few patrons. That would be awesome. And if it's not convenient for you to do any of that, then Loki the Gamer at least asks you to kneel.